Hi, my name is Cory Bernardi and I want to tell you a little bit about emissions trading and how the introduction of an emissions trading scheme, or ETS, will damage Australia. An ETS will have a negative impact on every individual, every family and every business in our country. But before I continue, I need you to understand exactly what an ETS is. You see, most people do not understand an ETS. The emissions trading scheme will limit the amount of carbon dioxide that can be emitted into the atmosphere by our industry. And industry will be buying permits from the government. It seems pretty basic, and it's even logical to a degree, but it is deeply flawed. An ETS will damage our long-term prosperity, and it will do nothing for the environment. So you might ask, why introduce an emissions trading scheme? Well, advocates for ETS claim it will help stop climate change by reducing carbon dioxide. They all agree that Australia going it alone, though, won't make any difference to the climate. You see, Australia emits only 1.4% of man-made carbon dioxide. To put that in perspective, every few months, China increases its carbon dioxide emissions by more than the Australian yearly total. And exactly what is carbon dioxide? Well, it's a non-toxic, non-polluting gas. It's essential to life on Earth, and it only occupies 0.0036% of our atmosphere. It's less than one drop in a glass of water. We exhale carbon dioxide when we breathe. It's the small bubbles in our soft drinks. It's a product of power generation. Plants absorb it to aid their growth, and it is around us all the time. And right now, it's the biggest issue in politics. Because some scientists claim that carbon dioxide is causing the Earth to get warmer. Some scientists say that it's not. No one really knows for sure, but we do know that most of the alarmist claims about the Earth's atmosphere and carbon dioxide have been proven false. And an Australian emissions trading scheme is proposed to limit the amount of carbon dioxide entering the atmosphere to stop the Earth from warming up. One of the big problems, though, is that Australia introducing such a scheme won't impact the environment in any measurable way, but it will have a big impact on everything else in Australia. You see, the ETS is simply a fancy name for a very big tax. The government will be charging industry for the right to emit carbon dioxide. And like every other tax, the money goes into the government coffers for them to spend as they want. In the first year, the ETS tax is estimated to be over $8 billion. It could rise to as much as $20 billion after that. In fact, the ETS has been described as a $50 billion tax on everything. Every dollar that an ETS raises for the government is a cost to business, and business will be forced to pass it on to every consumer in the country. This means your electricity bill will go up by hundreds or thousands of dollars. The cost of food and groceries will go up too. In fact, everything you buy or use will be impacted by the introduction of an ETS. In some sectors of our economy, the impact of the ETS will be even more severe. The ETS will really hurt our primary producers. One estimate is that for every cow in Australia, there will be an annual tax of up to $75. This would be an annual cost of over $2 billion to our farmers. That means our struggling dairy farmers could be forced to close down, meaning we'd have to import our milk and dairy products from overseas. Is this really what we want for our children? Is it really what we want for the future of our country? An ETS will also cost jobs. In fact, hundreds of thousands of Australian jobs are expected to be lost in the years following an introduction of an emissions trading scheme in Australia. This is bad for our country. It is bad for our businesses. It is bad for our families. In fact, an ETS is simply bad for all of us. So you might ask, why would anyone endorse such a scheme? Well, believe it or not, there are people who simply don't like our current way of life. Extreme groups have been trying to close down the productive part of our economy for decades. And every step closer to an emissions trading scheme is a step closer to them achieving their goals. But there are others who endorse an ETS because they stand to profit from it. The lawyers and consultants will make a fortune from interpreting the complex legal requirements of an emissions trading scheme. And then there's the investment bankers. You know, the same ones who Kevin Rudd said nearly destroyed the world economy. They stand to make billions of dollars from trading ETS permits. And remember, every dollar they make will be at the expense of industry and ultimately at your expense. But those who stand to gain the most from an ETS is actually the government, because an ETS is good for government. I said before, an ETS is a massive tax. Well, governments love tax because it allows them to spend more of your money on silly things like happiness seminars and yoga classes for public servants. But the ETS is much more than simply a tax grab by government. It will allow government to have the power to approve or veto almost every project and industry development in the country. Just the thought of this fills me with dread, and it should alarm you too. I went into politics to stand for some very important things. I support smaller government. I support lower taxes, free enterprise and stronger families. I support the values and virtues that built our country. An emissions trading scheme compromises every single one of these principles. An ETS will change the way our country operates. It will have a negative impact on every individual, on every family and every business in the country. And it won't have any beneficial impact on the environment. In short, an ETS fails every reasonable examination of it, and it is not in Australia's interest to take action ahead of the rest of the world. If, like me, you don't want to impose a dreadful tax on every Australian for no reason, you need to take some action. Let me know by visiting my website at www.corybernardi.com, and please share your views with me online. But you also need to contact your local federal Member of Parliament and your state senators. Tell them not to support the introduction of an ETS. You can find all of their contact details at www.aph.gov.au. This is the most important structural reform of the Australian economy in over 100 years. It threatens our way of life and our prosperity with no real environmental benefit. And I agree that we need to protect and support the environment in which we live. But an ETS offers no real benefits, just costs for all of us. Please contact your local Member of Parliament. Make a difference. Say no to the ETS. Thanks for watching.